I'm going to start the recording now. We are familiar with these two key lines, which we've used since the beginning. And we want a function that will swap two values, right? So we have the return type, and then we've got the function's name. It's just the name we give to the function. And then we've got the parameters or arguments that it takes, right? So if it takes them into the parameters and we use them inside the function, they are being used as an argument anyway, all right? So pretty much in this case, it takes two variables, X and Y, and both of them are data type, integer data type. At this point, are we defining or we are declaring the function? Define is a definite value. So when you define something, you like an integer, you give it its value as well. So we're just declaring that we intend to use a function called this, right? So that will take us back to that multiple choice question again. But normally you can actually put the whole function definition here, but it's a lot cleaner because when you write your code, you are likely to have, especially like your assignment, for example, you are likely to have several functions that you are using. Right, so it's good to organize it well, and most people will do the declaration here, and after the main function, they will define the function at the bottom of the main function. Can you get the dog, please? Then they will just they will define it after the main function. So let's look at what the function does. It takes X and then Y, and of course, it will just create a temporal value. So we're looking for swapping, right? So you have a temporal variable of the same data type that you store the value of X into it. Then you overwrite the current value of X with the value of Y. Then you can get that temporal value and then put back in Y. Even though we've got return here, you don't necessarily need to put return because there is no data type that is being returned. So we notice that we're not really returning anything. We just simply want to look at the effect of this function on X and Y. And that X and Y that we are looking at is this local variables. The local variable is local to the main function, right? So we want to look at the effect after we call the function. So in the first instant, we will print out the value of A and B. That is before we pass them as argument to the function, right? So we print out A and B, pass them to the swap, which will at this point will instantiate the function or call the function. And so A will be X, A will replace X because it's in that position. And then B will replace Y. So in this sense, A's value, if A is 100, A will be put into temp, then 200 will be put into A, and then in the end, 100 will be put into Y. If I write, I'm gonna do undo. So if I put 100 here, and I put, let's say 200 there, because of the order in terms of the actual definition, when we pass it, that's why it's going to happen. So X, which was has been replaced with A, which is 100, will replace that, and the value of the 100 will go in there, and that will be X anyway. So 200 will be moved to X, and eventually 100 will be moved to Y. That's what we're expecting to happen when the function is called. Yeah? Makes sense? Good. So pretty much with that, we call the function, and after the function is run. So it means that it goes through all these lines and it gets to this point. We want to see what happens to these two variables. Does it change or do they remain the same? That's what we're looking at, okay? So in terms of what happens, I mean, I want a white screen, but can write with, I think, it doesn't matter. In terms of what happens with a function is that if you have local variables to a function, the local variables are usually destroyed after the function is called. And at what point does the function exit? That's when it hits this closing brace. Yeah? Okay. but we can pass global variables to it, or functions that are variables that are outside the function, and make use of them. So I want to run it anyway to see its impact on the output. We noticed that when we had, well, before we called the function, it was A's value was B, A value was 100, B's value was 200. And then after we called the function, it still had no effect on it. Yeah, I'm going to add a line within the function to print out the values to see what happens to X and Y after we do the swap. I'm just simply pulling out the value of X and Y before the swap and then X and Y after the swap. I don't know why we're getting this. The screen is a bit awkward, isn't it?
That is why value of Y before swap.
So, oh yeah, sorry. Thank you. And just before the return, I'll print out after.
So why is it not working in the code?
Sorry?
Why is the function working in the code? The function is in the code, line 30.
Just bear with me and then I'll respond to your question in a second. Why is the function swap not working in the code? We're calling it here.
It's not working. We still give out the same value like.
Oh, the function actually works. The function works. That's why, I mean, I can take a wide screen if people online do not mind. So I'll run the code again. And I'll pull it up. So you notice that before swapping, okay, there's some weird stuff. Did I not print something? Oh, bear with me, please. Let me just do this.
Something wrong in the main function, I guess. Let's remove the A and B in the other function. Since it's already
so another one. Okay, so before we are in the main function right now, right? In the main function, before we swap, the value of A is 100 and the value of B is 200. Then we call the function and whatever is, we are inside the function right now. So inside the function, X is 100, which is the value of A that's been passed to a local variable to the function called X. And then also, Y is 200, but within X and Y, we managed to do the swap all right. Yeah, but because we are only passing the value, not the actual variable itself, the variable is being called by value. And so when we jump out of that function, these are destroyed. So we come back to the original A and B, and that's what is happening. Okay, you want to try out the code yourself right now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, please give it a go. When I upload it, I'll upload it with some notes, but give it a go right now. Let's see what is happening. Are you happy to type it out to test it out yourself? Or you can actually do some slight modification to your existing code. And what you are changing is the referencing part. So you're passing the reference as an argument to it. And also, well, as parameter, declaring a reference as a parameter, and you're passing the addresses as argument to the swap function. So we've got the address of A, address of B. And when you are swapping, you do the reference them and then swap them. Cool?
Yes,
Yep. Give it a go. Where do you want me to leave it on? Here for this line and then the function. Let me know if you're happy to go for me to scroll down, and I would.